Yes, Max Verstappen is the world champion once again. Hello and welcome to the DRS Zone podcast. My name is Ed White. Alongside me, as always, my 14-year-old son, Sam. And we didn't expect it. We weren't sure what happened, but it was a crazy weekend, and Max is once again the world champ.
You summed it up beautifully. Two-time world champion now, Max Verstappen wins in one of the strangest races I've ever seen in the whole 2 years of my watching. But it was insane, honestly. I mean, this is going to have to be the longest podcast to cover everything that happened.
Well, we're actually going to change it up a little bit because you're right. We could go on and on. We're not going to do it that way. We're going to kind of just attack the race because it was, as you say, a crazy weekend. Started for us about
Chaotic.
11 a.m. because the Bathurst 1000
Of
was on. It
course.
also had some rain issues. The shootout qualifying was actually canceled.
Cancelled. Yeah.
Yeah. So it started then. The Grand Prix was meant to start around 4 p.m. our
Four
time.
o'clock.
It just kept getting
Yay.
pushed back. We'll get to
No.
that in a minute. Why don't you do a quick race recap, or maybe not so quick, a race recap
No.
of the Japanese Grand Prix, and then we
All
can
right.
get into all the crazy stuff.
So, Max Verstappen wins the Japanese Grand Prix. He becomes a two-time world champion. It's his 32nd race win. Alonso also has two championships and 32 race
Yep.
wins. Sergio Perez second, Leclerc third. Perez, if he had finished below Leclerc, Max wouldn't have been world champion. But who knows if they would have appointed full points or not. Whole disaster. But Leclerc's penalty dropped him to third on the last corner defense. Esteban Ocon in fourth. Really strong weekend
Yeah.
for Alpine after a double DNF last time out, and McLaren getting a good result. Hamilton in fifth. Kind of never really went anywhere. Got stuck behind
He
Ocon.
couldn't get past them. There's some great
Yeah,
racing there for
just
a
got
while.
stuck. There was. Speaking of great racing, Vettel sixth, Alonso seventh. Only a couple of milliseconds behind each other as they got to the finish line. An incredible battle in the last lap, worth a watch. But Sebastian Vettel in his last Japanese Grand Prix, sixth. That's very, very impressive. George Russell in eighth was at the back, kind of fought his way through.
Yep.
Now, this is the biggest talking point. From the wrong turn in FP2 to turn it around and qualify last and pick up penalties for rubbish reasons, and we don't even need to go on, comes back to finish ninth. Nicholas Latifi, take a bow. Williams have made a mistake.
I will give you that, mate. He drove a very good race.
Standing ovation for Nicholas Latifi. Go Tifi on fire. Lando Norris in 10th, Daniel Ricciardo in 11th. Not a good weekend for McLaren, only 1 point. Norris and Verstappen, of course, had that incident in qualifying. Stroll 12th, nothing really for him. Tsunoda in his home race looked promising at the start of qualifying, but was running in the points for a while, but kind of just fell out of points grasp. 14th, Magnussen. 15th, Bottas. 16th, Zhou Guanyu, fastest lap for the Alfa Romeo driver. Second week in a row that no point has been awarded for fastest lap because someone has got it outside of the top 10. Of course, Russell got it in Singapore. Schumacher crashed in FP1. He was 17th. Gasly 18th after a post-race penalty, which we'll talk about later. And DNF, Alex Albon with mechanical issues, and Carlos Sainz with a lap 1 retirement. Wow, there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, very well summed up. And as I said, we're not going to really just break this down into 5 sort of talking points because really, I think the race was a talking point. A couple other little things we'll get to, but it was really about this race and about this weird weekend of weather where it was wet, then dry, and then wet.
And as I said, it was
screwed it
predicted
up.
Friday rain, Saturday dry, Sunday rain. It's always confusing because in qualifying you have to go into like straight dry sessions when you've been used to wet the whole time, and your fastest lap of the day is in the dry.
Yep,
and then you got to go back into the rain. It's really weird.
it
Yeah,
is. So to set the
kind of
scene,
a recipe for
it is
disaster.
a recipe. To set the scene a little bit for people that aren't from Melbourne, this is one of the races that we can actually watch in the daytime, like the Australian Grand Prix, as I mentioned earlier, 4 p.m. start here.
And
Bathurst,
China.
Bathurst, the long race starts at 11, ends around 5 or so. But there was rain at Bathurst that affected qualifying, but the race itself, even though the track was a little dicey,
It was
the rain held
dry.
off and it was pretty much dry. Formula One kind of went the other way. So as the day wore on, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, we're thinking, we're not sure what's going to happen here. Bathurst, when's it going to finish? When's the Grand Prix going to start? We had two channels going and a computer and all that.
Yeah,
And it just, from the moment that we turned on the Grand Prix, it didn't look like there was going to be a race.
no way. I mean, and I'm actually surprised that they got going, to be honest,
Yeah, I kind
at
of
the
think they
start
wanted to
for
do
a
it.
couple laps.
Didn't you
And
think they
then,
wanted to do it?
yeah, but here's a question. I mean, do you think they would have red flagged the race if there wasn't cars on the track, cranes on the track, Albon off to the side of the track, cars spun round? If everyone got through clean and it was still raining that heavy, do you think they would have stopped it? I think so, but that
Yes.
red flag was not put out for the rain technically.
Yeah, look, I think I do think the fact that there hadn't been a Japanese Grand Prix for what, 2 years
2 years. They
kind
wanted
of
to get
influenced
going.
them a little bit, that they wanted to
Yeah,
get a race away and something that wasn't a fiasco like Belgium. Now, we can argue all we want about the safety and all that. When they first went out, the spray was incredible. And as you mentioned, that tractor, crane, whatever piece of equipment was on there that Gasly didn't see. And that's a whole nother thing to talk about as well, because there was a whole debate about, I can't believe they did this, but then Gasly was going too fast. So that's a
it's
huge
ridiculous.
discussion.
I'm going on this. Gasly's speeding because it's green flags when they put the red flag out. 8 years ago, we lost a driver because of this. They put it out again without a red flag. They've done the exact same thing. Doesn't matter how many race directors you fire, you keep making the mistake. You're going nowhere. It's a lack of respect for what happened in 2014, honestly. It's
And
ridiculous.
I agree with that, and I think everyone's in agreement with that. And one of my complaints, and you know this, was that they went on and on about that, like anyone would disagree with the fact that there shouldn't be a crane on the track or a tractor on the track. I mean, I think we all can agree that that was absurd, but it's more about figuring out how it happened and why it happened. For me, I mean, I get that Gasly was incredibly emotional, so I give him that. I give him that. That's okay, but they kept going on and interviewing people, and is this, what do we think about this? It was absolute, of course it was wrong. Is
Yeah,
anyone
but
going
it's
to
a
sit there
big
and go, yeah,
talking
put it
point.
out there? I
It's a
know.
big
I
talking point.
I get
It
that. I
happened eight
agree.
years ago
I
and
agree.
something bad happened.
I agree, but you need to solve it. You're not going to sit around asking every driver, what do you think of it? Every one of them is going to be against it. To me, that was just a waste of energy and a waste of
Yeah,
time. Yes, it was horrible. I agree. Mind you,
agree to disagree.
mind you, we watched like 6 hours of coverage, so they did have to fill
They had
time.
to fill,
But
but
maybe that time
still.
would have been figuring out actually how the race was run and how the points were affected,
Well,
because
that's a whole
they
different
blew
thing.
that one. That's a whole
They
nother
didn't even
discussion.
know that
You're right.
changed.
So anyway, they decide they're going to go 28 lap race, and then the issue becomes points. And are you going to give half
And the
points and
second
full
time race
points?
in a row.
Yeah, I know.
Come on.
Insane.
I mean, I get that's rain. I mean, there's nothing we can do about it, but these last 2 weeks of F1 have been a disaster from Sky, from the weather, from the marshals,
Yeah,
from the drivers, from everything. It has been a joke to watch.
yeah. It's the, and I think that's the real issue. Isn't it? It's like, um, the way Verstappen won it, and we'll get to that too. I mean, we continue getting. We'll get to this, but
The FIA changed the
yeah,
rules to get him a second
it
championship.
wasn't. Yeah, see, I don't think they did that, but I think it wasn't made
I
clear.
do.
The fact that Sky, who we get our information from, and I know a lot of people online, Twitter, like going, "Well, Sky's not the official people." And all that. I get that, but we get our info from Sky, right? We're not privy to what's going on inside the FIA. So when Sky say, "Oh, we don't know
Yeah.
what's happening," that impacts us. We're just viewers, right?
Yeah.
So that's on
Yeah,
Sky, that's on the FIA, that's on Formula One Corporation, whatever, to make that clear going in. Because the problem is, once again, we've got people, and you're kind of one of them, whether you're kidding or not. A lot of people that are going to bring up this conspiracy theory, they're still not over Abu Dhabi, and now they're going, "Oh, the FIA's just done it again." Whether that's right or
yeah.
wrong, and I actually don't think it's right. I don't think there's a conspiracy theory, but to a lot of people, it just doesn't look right. And I think
Mostly Hamilton
they've
fans.
butchered another one. Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. I think that was a real, just the way he found out, the fact that Johnny Herbert has to tell him he's the champion is one of
yeah.
the most bizarre
That's basically
finals
the
I've
race
ever
summed
seen.
up. And
Just
yeah.
incredible, just
You know what?
nuts.
After all this, Ferrari look like pretty smart people in the last couple of weeks. We haven't made any mistakes.
True.
I think we're improving.
It's
And as I say this, I guarantee you in USA, we will mess it up.
quite possibly. We
We'll be
quite
back to
possibly
our
do that.
normal ways.
So
But
Max wins it. He goes back to back. The immediate discussion of whether he's the greatest of all time, which is, what immediately happens.
yeah,
Is he up there with Michael Schumacher? I'm
is he
like,
gonna get the eighth title?
timeout. Let's just call a
Just
timeout on that
stop.
right now. It's the hot take, which is unbelievable. The Leclerc penalty, um, as we watch
Oh,
that, in pretty incredible. I will say engrossing, enthralling last couple of laps, because Checo was coming. And as soon as Leclerc went off that track, I must admit, I thought, oh, he's in a bit of trouble here. He's going to get a penalty. I actually did think he was going to get a penalty. I didn't think it would be done so quickly, and the trophy handed to Max immediately after we had to wait last week for Checo's win.
I actually thought they'd actually follow their rules for once and not do it 1 second after the race is finished. He goes off the track, he comes back on, he barely pushes Checo off. Too bad, Checo. That's racing. And we've seen one replay, 5 seconds. We want Max to be champion.
I
At
know.
least look at it more than once.
Yeah, that's another thing where they have to get consistent, right? It's like, let's make the Checo
There's
decision
nothing
last week.
consistent about the FIA, and
Correct.
they never will be.
Well, there could be. They need to change that.
No, they
Maybe that's.
won't. We've
Well, you never
said
know.
this for 3 years.
I know we have, but the F1
Nothing's
guys,
changed.
Liberty Media and the F1 maybe can, take some steps potentially. I think that was, yeah. So it was unfortunate on a lot of, and even to Max, let's be honest. I don't think, I mean, it was pretty cool and natural
I
the
don't
way they
think he would
celebrated,
care.
but I would have thought he would have preferred to know that this is it and come down that home stretch, and jump in everyone's arms and all that in front of everyone else. I think that would have been a bit nicer. Anything else on the race? We got a couple little things to talk about here. Just insane. Let's be honest. The way it
Just
panned
yeah.
out. Driver movement, quick little update on that.
Yes. Couple of moves. Pierre Gasly has announced. The rumors are true. He is leaving AlphaTauri and he will be joining Alpine as Esteban Ocon's teammate next year.
How about
They
that?
have the same amount of wins. There's only 3 points difference between them.
Yep.
There's only like 5 races difference, I think, between them. They grew up 20 minutes apart. They're both French. And now they're driving at a French team. So you like France, go for Alpine. And 1 minute after that was announced, AlphaTauri announced Nick De Vries will be driving for them, which
How
I love.
fast was that on social
I know.
media?
It's the weekend of fast things. Fast penalties, fast announcements. Ironically, though, the race took 5 hours.
Yeah, you're right. The race was incredibly slow. You're absolutely right. But interesting. And we saw Gasly, remember, interviewed a few weeks ago, and we both
and he
sort of got
said,
a weird vibe from it, didn't
yeah.
we? Yeah.
And someone said, like, I usually do, like, what did he say? Like, I usually do soccer news or something. I'm going to do a bit of F1 rumors
Oh, yeah.
that Pierre Gasly's going to Alpine. And then it was
Yes,
true.
it was absolutely
Yeah.
true. The other big elephant in the room is the salary cap violation, the breach from both Red Bull and Aston Martin. Each of the teams get roughly 145 million US dollars to do most of their stuff. Does not include driver salaries, by the way, but it includes most of the other stuff. This was called a minor breach. by these teams. So 7 million roughly is what I read.
That's nothing. That's like a chip these days.
Compared to
7 million.
Compared to 145 million, though, I would think that's somewhat minor.
That's like times 20.
I'm guessing a fine. Personally, I don't see them penalizing
I'm guessing
Red Bull.
Aston Martin will get penalized. I'm guessing Red Bull won't get anything. I think they should strip Red Bull from their 2 championships. And then Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc can live happily ever after.
I don't know. Oh, yeah, you're right, because Checo would be part of that. Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
We'll wait and see. Nothing has been decided yet. This is still to be decided. So we'll keep an eye on that.
All these funny memes, like I saw one with like the drivers or the principals all sitting down at a meal, and then like Christian Horner kind of not looking that impressed, and then it was like, when you realize you paid with the team card.
Yes, I did see that. Next up's the United States Grand Prix. I think it's in a couple of weeks. I'll be honest with you. It is
race.
COTA in Austin. Ricardo's already up and about with his social media on his Instagram.
He's got he is.
Danny Rick's barbecue or something. He's got some party. He does. It's like him in a country outfit and a hat.
I'm not surprised.
Oh, yeah.
NASCAR.
Love it. He just loves it there.
And they love him.
And they love him. You're absolutely right. The U.S. Grand Prix has been held 50 times, 10 different locations in Austin since 2012. No race in 2020. Hamilton has won 5 times, but the last time they ran it last year was Verstappen, Hamilton second, Perez third, and then Leclerc fourth, and Ricardo fifth. There are also 3 DNFs as well, too.
Yes, and Gasly was one of those.
Yes, that's exactly right.
I know for sure. Suspension issue.
Before we get into our predictions, the quick recap from Singapore. You had Verstappen winning.
Terrible.
You had Verstappen.
I had Leclerc.
Oh, you did. Sorry, you did.
I had Leclerc,
Verstappen, and then Sainz, didn't you? Or Russell? Sainz, yeah.
Russell.
Yeah. My notes were wrong
Leclerc,
here.
Verstappen, Russell.
Yep.
And then I had Perez. I said like 5th.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Well,
you were way off.
Way off. Verstappen, Leclerc, Perez. I basically had it until Leclerc.
No, you didn't.
Did the wrong
You were trying to claim it. You were celebrating.
I'm claiming it.
No, you're not.
Absolutely, I'm claiming it.
You got it wrong.
Leclerc stays on the track. I win.
Oh, well, sorry. In Hungary, I guessed Ocon, Vettel, and Hamilton. I'm still taking credit.
No,
you're not getting credit.
I'm not claiming credit. I'm just saying I did better than you.
You are claiming credit. Oh, you did better than me, but you didn't get it right.
No, I got it. I got it right.
Perez to win in Azerbaijan last year.
I got it right.
I predicted Verstappen not to finish in Great Britain last year.
I got it right.
Are you
across
challenging
the finish
me?
line. I got it right across the finish line. The checkered flag, I got it right.
That doesn't matter.
We've never clarified this.
I think we have.
Predictions for Austin. What do you got?
To be honest, I feel like Max won't win this. I'm sure he will. But I'm gonna just say, let's go Leclerc, Ocon.
Wow.
Hamilton.
Wow, I like that.
Don't know.
Okay, that's all right.
I haven't gone that bold this year. Actually,
that's all right. Yeah,
Latifi
I don't mind.
wins it.
I'm gonna go. All right, here's where I'm gonna go. Perez, Leclerc, Hamilton.
Where's
Verstappen,
Max?
DNF.
Hey,
DNF.
you're copying me.
DNF. Fine,
you know what? My predictions, double McLaren DNF.
All right. I think I'm going to say Leclerc's in the points.
I'll predict the whole field for you.
Ricardo's in the points.
I'll predict every driver for you for the rest of the year.
Let's not get carried away.
Yeah, let's not.
Final thoughts. Shane Van Gisbergen and Garth Tander win Bathurst. Great race, great finish. The highlight, though, is the next day when they went on a morning talk show, and the old veteran Tander was fine, but Van Gisbergen was a little dusty. Couldn't quite finish the interview. Actually had to walk off during the middle of the interview and get sick. the old, the
Garth
old,
Tander.
the old
Yeah.
pro did it. I think it was his fifth time.
I met Garth
Winning.
Tander.
You did meet him. Great guy.
He's
Really,
a very nice
really
guy.
nice guy. Huge win. One of the great races. It did really well. Rated really, really well, as well, which is
Yeah.
great because it's just one of those great Australian traditions,
It
like a
is. It
Daytona
really is.
500 or an Indy 500. Just one of those massive races.
One
Anything
last
else?
thought for
Yeah.
me, yes.
Fire.
I've been very angry on this podcast,
Yeah.
going on a lot of rants.
Yeah.
I'm okay, but I was very frustrated because this is the one race we can watch at a good time.
Yes.
And we kind of got robbed of it. So,
Yeah.
and Max won it. So,
Yeah.
not
I'll
the
give you
best
that.
race
You're
for me.
absolutely entitled to have a rant on that.
But
Absolutely
yeah,
entitled.
yeah.
Beautiful. All right. This has been the DRS Zone podcast. My name is Ed Wyatt. His name is Sam Wyatt. We will be back. You can find us, by the way, anywhere you get your podcasts, Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, you name it. Might be looking at a few more places. May stick this on YouTube if I get around to it. And let's not forget, we'll be back after the U.S. Grand Prix at the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. Yeehaw!
Yeah.